Live and in color from the NBC News radio broadcasting studios of KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, located in beautiful Southern California, and in parallel from the Turfs Up radio studio in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Thanks for tuning in to the Water Zone show this evening.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to everybody, and I hope you are fine wherever you are in this wonderful world with different time zones. I'm Rob Starr, your host tonight. And Mr. Chris Davey has the night off. He has some personal things to do. And so it's me, and we also have the most wonderful lady that I get my water news every single morning from, Miss Chris Austin, who is the purveyor of Maven's Notebook. Chris, welcome.
Hi, how you doing today?
Doing great. How's the weather up in Central California?
Oh, it's pretty nice. Not too terribly hot. So we're doing pretty good. Are you frying down there in Arizona?
112.
Oh,
but
yay!
But it drops down to the mid 80s at night because we live by the mountains and we get a big breeze coming every night. So it's pretty nice. And to go in the pool, if when it gets hot, when it hits 112 or even 115 or 16, it heats the water in the pool. But most of my neighbors have a heater because they like to go in the wintertime. But a lot of people who do that, we call them snowbirds because they take off and go back to somewhere else in the summer. But I have what's called a pool chiller. It's a big thing that's about 5 feet tall, and it actually chills the water. It recirculates cold water back into the pool and reduces the water about 15, 20 degrees. So that's nice to have because sometimes, like when it's hot like today, and you try to go in the pool, it could be like 90, 95 degrees, just ambient temperature in the water. So I don't like it that hot. It's like swimming in a jacuzzi. That's too hot to be in. It's not refreshing. So anyway.
Well, I'll tell you who else doesn't like hot water, and that is salmon. Salmon like cold water to spawn in and rear in and all that. So actually interesting, a few years ago when the river was running really hot below Shasta Dam, which is where we have a population of salmon that live, they actually brought in some of those chillers to try and cool the water temperatures down to keep the salmon cool. I think they had some mixed results there. So they have those chillers have their use in the world.
Yeah, my neighbors thought I was the only one in my neighborhood who has one of those. Everybody else has heaters, and I don't mind. I don't mind it. I like refreshing water around 82 degrees. 82 degrees. That's fine for me. Maybe up to 86, but when it gets to be 90, 95 in the water, it's just too hot. Not comfortable. Not comfortable. So there's a lot happening with water in California. Maybe you can fill us in on some of the highlights of the week.
Yeah, well, actually, today's been a pretty active day. We just had our State Water Board release a major report, a draft report. They have been trying since literally 2009. What is that? 14 years now? To update the water quality control plan for the Delta, which is where most of California's water supply runs through. This water quality control plan is a requirement of the Clean Water Act, which also requires the plan to be reviewed and updated if necessary every 3 years. And we're looking at 14. So it's a long road to get this done. It's a very complicated plan. And this has been very, very highly anticipated for them to release this plan. I haven't got a chance to really dig into it yet, but this plan is one that it has a regulatory force in the Delta. It controls things like the amount of flow that flows through the channels, the salinity, which is really important because the Delta interfaces with San Francisco Bay and the ocean, so there's salinity that pushes it out. So
that seems to be pretty... I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No problem. So the salinity needs to be kept low because we have a lot of agriculture in the Delta, and you can't put salt water on your crops. So salinity is one of those things that they control. So it's a very important plan, and along with this update to this water quality control plan has been this process that we've been talking about actually since 2018, called the voluntary agreement, which the voluntary agreement is a proposal by a number of northern Sacramento Valley and some other agencies in the northern half of the state that are proposing to give up some flows, give up some money to pay for some science, and also perhaps to purchase more in-stream flows for environmental benefits. It's actually kind of a remarkable program because they've gotten a lot of water agencies on board, and they're really trying to hammer out something as an alternative to this regulatory structure that the water board would normally use. The voluntary agreements have a name, a more formal name. They call it the Healthy Rivers and Landscape
Unknown participant
Program.
is now joining.
And the state and federal agencies are also involved in this voluntary agreement process. So it's very interesting. This report comes out, and it has the regulatory pathway. It's like if the state water board was going to do it normally, here's how we would do it. And they're also analyzing this voluntary agreement proposal. And we've been working on this for like 6 years now, literally. The one big hitch in the thing, though, is that I think we are getting more concern, more questioning of what the federal government's role is going to be under this new administration, because in the past, the reclamation has been a partner at trying to, work to save the fish, to restore habitat, to operate water projects in a way that is better for fish. But there was an article that came up last week where a speaker at an event in Kern County from the Bureau of Reclamation was talking about how they are trying. What I drew from the article is that reclamation backed out of what they call the early implementation of the voluntary agreements, which was they were going to try to start putting some more flow into the system now before the voluntary agreements got formally approved. They were just going to try and get started and start on some habitat restoration. And it looks like the government is pulling out of that and is looking to come up to go a whole different alternative to what the state has been talking about. So this is really going to be the big question, I think, coming up in these next few months as we try to determine in what direction the Bureau of Reclamation is going to go. It kind of appears that it's going to go its own way and not the way that has been in discussion for the past 6 years. So this is pretty big, I guess, because without Reclamation's involvement, I imagine that the whole thing is just going to collapse.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't see how half the users cannot not participate. I mean, the plan was getting everybody in the basin on board, so if certain people aren't going to participate, it just isn't going to work. So we'll see how this all shakes out as we move forward. It's a pretty tough time, I think. For people that want to see things get solved, it looks like it's about to it's about to not happen. But I don't know. We could see what happens, but all indications seem to be that we're in for some rough times ahead.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when you change administrations, and you got to go through these touchy-feely things, and sometimes the new administration doesn't have all the information of why it was started or what was the idea ahead of for this and all that. So that takes time, and it's only been 6 months. But you don't feel well. Do you feel there's any better communication between reclamation and the state?
To be honest, I really don't think it's an issue that they don't understand the whys, and maybe they just need to become informed. We've in all my time in doing California water, a lot of this is unprecedented. Actually, during Trump's first term in office, a lot of unprecedented stuff went down then too.
Right.
Administrations change, but in the past they didn't cancel habitat restoration programs. They didn't take out 25% or more of the staff.
Right.
The grant cancellations they're just all over the place, and
Right.
not to mention, we're into academia because we do a lot of funding is pumped in through the university for graduate students to do research on the system.
Right.
And then these things start going away. It's an uncharted territory. But if I look at the executive orders that he has put out concerning California water, then my money would be that they're going to pull out, that they're in the process of pulling out, but they're not really communicating very much right now. I don't know.
I've always said, since you were even on the show when you first started, my concern is, it's running the government is like running a business, and somebody should make a list of all the activities that they're wanting to do, and categorize them. What's the top 3? What's the top 5? What's the top 10? And what's going to bring the biggest bang? What's the most important thing that they got to solve? And I can't believe. I guess it's just people's opinions from the different administrations, but there should be a standardized list that they create and say, this is the goal, and we all know nothing happens in 3 months or 6 months or even 4 years. And I'd like to see that extended where people really take a look, the agencies really make this list, or the states or whoever's working on the projects. What are the projects that definitely they have to implement? What's the most important, and rank them? And because as just a normal citizen, I'm not aware of every single project that they're proposing or they're working. I mean, I can go research it and spend 3 weeks getting all that data, but the average person doesn't know that. They just hear what pops up in the news for a news blip, and then they form their own opinion, and they don't know the whole story, and it just goes on and on and on, and nothing gets done. Just like I'll joke about the train to nowhere in California. It's gone up from X amount of dollars to gazillions of dollars, and they're still not complete with it, and it's still not a high-speed train, and it just seems to linger, and money just keeps getting spent and spent and spent that doesn't need to be spent. But I don't know. I just think government needs to find a better way to operate and communicate. I mean, those are the two things. You've always said that, get the people in a room, have them sit down and hammer it out. And you got to give a little from each side. It's just not going to can't be one-sided. So.
Yeah, well, I would be really surprised to see something like that happen right now.
I agree.
There are federal agencies. It's like collaboration and cooperation does not seem to be in the mix.
No.
At this point in time. Now, you talk about the list of things. I will point out to you that Governor Newsom, when he came into office, developed the water resilience portfolio,
yes,
which was
yes.
a long list of things to be done. And he later on developed the water supply strategy, which was another list to be done. I think when it comes to infrastructure, the idea to just have one or two or three priorities that you're working on, I mean, that sounds good, but there's so much that has to be done to get projects online. There's just a lot of dead space. I mean, you can have multiple tracks happening at the same time and get things accomplished,
For sure.
And I will say, that recently the Newsom administration was at the California Water Commission, and they were touting their accomplishments on the water resilience portfolio, which includes a large number of things. Updating desalination regulations is coming up that they've been working on. They did some other things regarding desalination. Where the best place to site a new desalination plant might be along the coastline. Some regulatory streamlining. The Newsom administration funded a complete overhaul of the California water rights system, which up until a few years ago, believe it or not, still existed mostly on pieces of paper. Not much had been digitized. So they took it upon, the state water boards, gave them a chunk of money, and they said, go for it. And the new water rights system now will be going online this fall. People will be starting to report their water use in it, and you will be able, like a Google map, to bring up the delta and see where water is being taken out and how much. It's going to be a really great system, and it'll be everything will be open to the public, so we'll all be able to look at it. So a lot of stuff has happened, but I think you're never going to get the state and the federal agency on the same page. Even I think in the best, completely on the same page. I think even in the best of administrations, that kind of thing doesn't happen. And, the federal government has a lot more going on than just California. I mean, Reclamation has water projects all over the western states. So, they've got a lot of priorities. You can't just expect them to match our priorities. But they were participating in a process. They generally do participate in the processes, and those things generally don't change. They haven't changed in the past. There's a lot of stuff that's going on now. It's just simply unprecedented.
Yeah, I was reading an article about Colorado and oil and gas companies that do fracking, and they wanted in 2 more years to make it a law go in effect that if you do fracking and pump all the water in to get the oil and gas out, you need to be able to turn a factory and make it a produced water facility. And they're going to make that a state regulation. They'll be the first in the country to mandate that. And I'm sure all the oil stuff and gas in California is going to go that route as well. So, which I think is a good idea.
We've argued a lot about produced water. There have been studies that say that you can use that water on crops, but then there have been, others that say you can't.
Yep.
And it's, it's not something I think a lot of people are really comfortable about. If you're just going to take that produced water and just dump it directly on the crops, I mean, I think people are a little skeptical that it's really clean. Treat it.
Yeah, you got to treat it.
Yeah.
And that's a whole new technology that's coming up and around. One more quick bite on I know 2005 you were talking about in your blog, the California almond crop forecast hits 3 billion pounds, which is a huge jump. And yet I'm glad to see the almond board. I don't know from your perspective or the general person in California, do they really believe that the almond board is working with their people to help reduce the water enough that they can keep growing and growing and growing? I mean, it's a big chunk of our economy. So,
I do think that they have been. At least they certainly put out press releases that they are. But the
Right.
almond industry has really been under fire since the
Yep.
drought in 2014, and 1 gallon to grow an almond and all that. So and they have really done a lot, I think, to reduce use, to look into things like deficit irrigation. They also have been very supportive of doing groundwater recharge on almond orchards in the winter. When they're dormant, to kind of sink water into the ground. So I think that they have been, because they have because they were so under fire. And it's hard to almonds are a food. They're nutritious. They're what they call a storable protein. I don't think almonds per se are bad.
Right.
And it's perhaps it's more about where you're growing those crops, and is there water for that specific property. But I think overall, I don't believe we should be vilifying almonds. Completely.
Good. It's the way I believe. I think that's right. Well, Chris, there's so much going on all day. I mean, I read your blogs every morning, and it's the first thing I do when I wake up. Turn the computer on, and it's right there. And for our listeners and audience, please go to mavensnotebook.com. It's a great place to get up to date, behind the scenes information about what's happening with water. And you can become a subscriber, which is an awesome thing that Chris Davey and I do every day. And we're also a sponsor of that. And you can also make a donation. It's a what do you call it? A 501c3.
Yes, nonprofit.
Yes.
Tax deductible.
Yes, so it's tax deductible, and it's a great way to get information that you never hear about, or you don't get a chance to see it where it's published in different articles and things. But it's super. And Chris, I always say, I don't know how she does it. She's got to do 2 weeks worth of work in one day, and to write all this stuff up. I hope you get sleep at night, because with all the stuff that you produce, I can't imagine that you get more than 2 hours a night. Anyway. No. You're awesome to the industry.
When I'm dead.
No, we appreciate that.
Dead.
No. And Chris Davey and I want to wish you give you a big thank you for participating in our 500th 10th year anniversary show last week. We do appreciate that, and gave a great little insight about everybody who's been on the show, at least the hosts of the show. So we appreciate that. Chris, you enjoy the week. You stay cool, and we will talk to you next week.
All right.
All right. You have a good evening,
everyone.
Good evening. All right, we're going to take a little commercial break from some of our sponsors, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
With some long-distance people, so stick around.
Time-saving tools I found for my customers is our app and our e-commerce feature. So customers actually have the ability to view all of their quotes in one place. If you contact your SiteOne seller, you'll be able to log into your account and see all your quotes in one place. And instead of jumping on the phone or waiting for your seller to call you back, you can approve it right from the website, and it will send a message to your sales rep to get it on order and reserve the material. Customers can learn more about these tools at their SiteOne branch, from their local seller, from their local CX specialist, and from SiteOne.com, or by downloading the SiteOne app.
Are you presently part of the irrigation industry as a worker or business owner? Do you want to learn how you and your staff can boost your knowledge and productivity? Then you should check out Irrigator Technical Training School. Irrigator Tech is the leading source of quality instruction serving all facets of the irrigation industry. Their courses provide a basic, easy-to-understand approach that raises the skill level, competency, and professionalism of landscape and irrigation personnel through practical education and services. Irrigator Tech combines classroom and real-life hands-on training, leading to a well-recognized certification that both customers and employers demand. Irrigator Tech's specialized courses can help you quickly become a certified irrigation auditor or a certified installer, repair, maintenance, or backflow technician. Courses also include certificates in smart water application or becoming a certified tree worker. Most importantly, all certifications are state recognized, and Irrigator Tech offers annual renewal classes to help keep your certification up to date. So whether you work in California, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, or Arizona, there's an Irrigator Tech class near you. For more information on how to jumpstart your career, call Irrigator Tech toll-free 866-614-1755 or visit them on the web at irrigatortech.com. That's toll-free 866-614-1755 and on the web at irrigatortech.com.
To the second half of the Water Zone. We appreciate it. I'm Rob Starr, and Mr. Chris Davey is off today. He'll be back. And a lot of you listened to the show last week, which was our 500th live broadcast on an NBC station, and it's also was our 10th year anniversary. And we had, I guess I'll call it a contest. If people we asked to send into our email their name, address, and what they liked or didn't like about the show. And then we were going to pick some winners. Now, I was going to announce some of those winners tonight, but I figured I'm going to wait because Chris wants to do it as well. So we're going to do that next week. Have lots of great prizes from Toro, Site One Landscaping, some others, and really, really nice products and things that they give away. For also products from Toro and some irrigation products like irrigation controllers, some outdoor lighting systems, things of that sort. So stick around next week, and we'll name some names off who's won some prizes. And thank you again from all the people who produce and work on the show for your participation, listening, and supporting us as a show. We do appreciate that. Well, we have some interesting guests. Some are far away from me. One's the closest to me, gentleman, is in down towards San Diego, a little north of San Diego, and the other gentleman is calling in from Kenya. So he's a 19-hour, I think, or 9-hour, I forget how much hours he'll tell us, time differences, but two gentlemen are very, very interesting, and they'll explain how they met, what they do together, and did some pretty unique products. So I'd like to introduce both of them. The first one is Mr. Greg Chick, and he's a guy who's been in the water industry, plumbing business, irrigation business for God knows his whole life, and he'll tell us a little about that. And another gentleman named Festus, and I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce his name. I know I asked him the other day how to do it, but I just call him Festus. He's a good man, and he'll be joining us. So welcome, Greg. Welcome, Festus, to the Water Zone.
Thank you.
Greg, are you there? Greg? I know he's connected. I don't know where he went. Anyway, Festus, how's everything in Kenya, and what time of day or night is it there?
Yeah, thank you very much, Robert. Right now it is 2:34. I mean, 4 minutes past 2:30. I mean, 2 in the morning.
Oh.
And
well, we appreciate you calling in. I assume everybody in your home is sleeping, except for you.
Yeah, everyone is sleeping. Yes.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Well, while we got you here first. Hello?
We are ahead of time, 10 hours.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we do appreciate you calling in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the projects that you've been working in, and it's basically some water collection systems, what you've done for some villages there, and give us a little background on how you got involved in water and so forth.
Thank you very much. As you have said, my name is Festus. The other name is Langat. So I come from Kenya, a county called Bomet County. And I'm a teacher by profession.
Okay.
And also I I help in God's work. I'm a pastor in a church. So that's what I do also.
Mm-hmm.
And being a teacher and also helping in God's work, you come in contact with many people and you see the struggle of many people. I mean, you come in contact with many people and know you get to know their way of life, their problems, their struggles. So particularly, I'm going to talk about what we have been doing with Greg, and that is water project that we have been doing here in Kenya. As I've told you, being a teacher and also assisting in God's work as a pastor, I've been seeing people in our county. I come from a rural place in Bomet. So being in a rural area, it is not developed, it is underdeveloped. People in the rural Bomet County are still struggling with problems associated with water. They are struggling with waterborne diseases. Children are suffering the most. And also, the scarcity of water has hit that rural place for a long time. And you can't imagine if I tell you in this time of 2025, in this time, there are still people who can walk more than 10 miles to fetch water, some of the places. But it's happening. It's happening in our place. So this situation prompted me to reach out to look for well-wishers, friends who can come in and help us mitigate this problem. And that's how I came in contact with Global Water Works through the mighty group. I met Mary of Global Water Works through another group called Water Stories. I was doing another course of water in Water Stories, and I came in contact with Mary, one of the directors of Global Water Works, and she introduced me to Frank and Greg Chick.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I came into contact with Greg Chick.
Okay.
And because we share we share the common field of solving water problem with Global Water Works.
Yeah,
I didn't mind that.
Yeah, they're based
so
they're based in Chicago, and Frank Slavonic's the partner with her. And just for our listeners, they are also they specialize in helping places all over the world, but they're also a faith-based company, which is good. Meets. Okay, go ahead. Just want to give a little background.
Yeah. So Mary is in Chicago and Frank is in Georgia.
Yep.
And Greg is coming from Los Angeles.
Unknown participant is now exiting.
And then I told them about the situation in our county, how children are suffering from waterborne diseases, and they offered to talk to donors and partners over there in the United States. And good enough, people offered to come in and help us.
How many projects have you
and
done
help
with
us
them?
Yes. So when they saw that we were successful in installing rainwater harvesting system, the reason why we chose rainwater harvesting system in our country is because we have a huge amount of rainfall per annum. Actually, in our county, it goes up to 1,500 millimeters per annum. That's why we said, well, all this water that is coming from the skies, and they go to waste because we don't have storage facilities, we don't have system, we don't have money to buy the storage facilities, the gutters, all those, to install the system. So then we we got all that. Greg, our yes.
I'm glad you connected into us, Greg. He's just giving you background.
Thank you. Festus was doing quite well, and I'm like Festus. My interest is moving forward on the Kenya project. If I must, you can introduce me, but I'd rather pass on my wonderful past things and look to the future with Festus.
So
I was looking up.
Yeah, explain how the first project became. Global Waterworks got some partners together, stuff. They gather equipment and things, and they all brought it over there to you, or how did that work?
Yeah. Okay. The way Global Waterworks works is that after they get funds for the project, they let me engage with Greg, who is expert in water installation, water rainwater harvesting system installation, and he helped me to design the system with parts and all those things, what is needed, and according to the AXA manual, and he helped me to get all the components that are needed to install rainwater harvesting system. We could do that with Greg through WhatsApp. And after Greg was satisfied that we have all the components needed, that we have put all our ducks in a row, then he informed Frank that everything is set, you can forward the money to Festus. He's ready to install the rainwater harvesting system. And after that, Global Waterworks sent us the funds. We went and purchased they sent through the church. So we went with the committee of the church. We bought the components, and right there we installed the first rainwater harvesting system in our church successfully.
How long did it take once you assembled or you got all the equipment, the components, how long did it take for you to set that up and getting it working?
Actually, it was 5 days. Within 5 days, everything was set. So we had all young men. Oh yeah, so yeah, yeah. We had all these young men ready, waiting, the volunteers, and we had everyone anxious. Everyone wants the rainwater harvesting system to be installed. They've been suffering from waterborne diseases. They've been suffering, going far to fetch water, and all that excitement. They all came in to help, and this work was done within shortest time possible. Actually, what normally takes makes us to delay a little bit is that as we are waiting for the base, the concrete base to dry up, that takes 2 days, 2 to 3 days. That's the only time that takes us long. But installing the gutters, tank, all those components, it takes 2 days, and everything is complete.
How do you further purify the water once you've collected it?
Yeah, once we collect the water, we treat it with chlorine. Mm-hmm. With chlorine, we have water purifiers, and then it's fit for drinking. And we have testers to test the amount of chlorine, if it is enough. We got all that. Greg helped us to get all those things in place. So we are very grateful. We are happy to have Greg as our engineer, our technician, technical support. And I just want to say, after we completed the first rainwater harvesting system, there was great joy in the village. You could see the joy in the face of women and children. You could see the joy in the face of everyone. There was great joy because these people, these women, in our village, it is women who goes to fetch water, women and children. So they were relieved of the burden of going very far, miles away to fetch water, and they carried on their bags together with the children. Maybe they were tired coming out from the farm, coming out from other chores, but they still have to go for water in a very far place. Mm-hmm. So that was how the joy was put in the faces of women and children, and also the men, because one of the need that was lacking in their village was provided. And we are forever grateful to Global Water Works, being led by the two directors and the engineer, Greg Chick.
Wow, yeah. Awesome story. One quickie. How one system fulfills how many people in the village?
Yeah, actually we installed for 400 people. The first was gathering for 400 people. We were targeting around 60 households.
Okay.
And 60 households.
And we've got about 11 of these systems completed to date.
Yes.
Wow. That's
yes.
a lot.
So, yeah, one system carries 3 tanks. We have 3 tanks of around 10,000 liters. That's about 2,360 gallons. Yeah.
Wow. I know you gave us a little brief history about what your background is, Festus. Greg, you're an interesting person. I know when we first talked on the phone, and we met a long time ago as we discovered that, some of the trading things way back when. Why don't you give us a little background of what you do, and then we can talk about your book for a few minutes also.
Well, first I'd like to say that if I may offer, if somebody wants to send me an email requesting a free copy of my book, I will return a link that is a digital PDF that somebody can have my book for free. I offer that, and I will do as many books as are asked for. Okay. I started in the early 70s, ag irrigation in Ojai, California, and I went to Sedona, Arizona, and I did some stuff with irrigation, which is now the Red Rock State Park. And then I went into plumbing and solar thermal water heating, hot water from the sun. And then I came back to California and got into contracting here again. And I started doing the plumbing code, and that's where I met you, was the WE stand, I think, the Water Efficiency Standard, and the Irrigation Association Committee, the 623, and all that stuff.
Right.
I got involved in the American Society of Plumbing Engineers. The acronym is ASPE. We pronounce it ASPE. Then I got into ARCSA, the American Rainwater Association of America, which, I did a chapter in that reference manual, and that is the manual that Festus is using, which that manual is adopted by ARCSA and IAPMO, International Association of Plumbing and Mechanical Officials. That's a mouthful. And ASPE. We all got together, and there's a group, and these standards and codes are used by tradespeople, and we have classes and training people and certifying. And so we're now going to be reaching out. ARCSA is going to be reaching out with the Festus so that ARCSA can have a certified installer in Kenya. Wow. And I don't think there is one anywhere in Africa yet. So Festus will be a first. And the Heather Kincaid at ARCSA is a wonderful lady. We all know so many wonderful people in this water industry. There's so many. I wish I could thank them all, but we are going to be implementing the standards in that ARCSA manual all over as much as Kenya's that Festus can do. I like to say Festus does it. I like it because he's doing everything. I sit here on WhatsApp or at my desk or on a phone. And I talk to Festus. He understands. He acts. And you were talking about the lady earlier not sleeping. Festus doesn't sleep either.
Well, yes, it's 2:30 at 3 in the morning, and he's talking to us. So
Yes.
I appreciate. I wish I could come shake your hand, but it'll take me a little while to get there. But
Well, he will invite you to Kenya if you'd like to go visit. I'm sure he'll have a place for you there, which Mary is going from Global Waterworks. Mary will be going to next week for over a week. She'll be looking at these systems, and I will be doing some WhatsApp with them and inspecting all the systems. And Festus and all of the village leaders, each system in a village has a leader that does the maintenance, and we have standard requirements for the testing of the water and the cleaning of the debris, screens. And so you asked about water treatment. We don't have to treat that much because, frankly, the bird poop is washed off the roof and flushed off before it goes into that 10,000-liter tank. And then out of that tank, when it's full, into the next tank and into the next tank. So the way we collect the water is passively. No pumps, no solar panels, no moving parts.
All gravity fed.
Nothing. It's all gravity fed. It's all built by the natives. It's all designed via the ARCSA manual. And Festus is running the whole thing. We've got some other people in Kenya, Oscar and Kericho. Good tea comes from there. And good tea comes from Bomet County, too. You might ask for Kenyan tea. And we've got, in Nairobi, we've got some people. And we're working a network across the whole country to bring rainwater, harvest rainwater, for everybody that needs it.
So,
That's Festus's goal.
So some of the water used, or they use the rain mostly for irrigation of crops. How's that handled? Just by the natural rainfall?
Okay. As for now, we still use rainfall because, as I told you, we have lots of rain in Bomet County. Right. So we have been missing. When we miss rain, maybe it's just for 3 weeks or a month. It's hardly we hardly miss rain here. So most of our farms we use rainwater. I mean, yeah, it's rainwater from the rain. Yeah.
Okay. And Greg, I know you're involved in a lot of different agencies and administrations. I know in water, with codes like the Building Industry Association and go down the list, the National Association of Home Builders and others, everybody has a different standard that they're trying to create. And it's kind of hard for a manufacturing company to try to cover that whole base. And you had some involvement in some standards that you were trying to standardize. Maybe you could talk a little about that and why the importance of it. For example, the Building Industry Association, which was the National Association of Home Builders, were giving points like LEED and things like that. And they said if you use a smart irrigation controller, you get 5 points or 20 points, whatever the number is. Right. And so I asked him a question. I said, so what do you consider a smart controller? Is that one that's been validated by the either the Irrigation Association or more prevalent, the EPA for Water Smart? They said yes. And I said, but if anybody comes in and says, I designed one and this is what we're making, but we never got it tested or validated, they still give them they give them points. So if they were getting 20 because it was a real one that was done, and now another company comes in and they say, well, we didn't test it, but we only tested ourselves. We didn't let the EPA test it. You get 15 points. I said, well, isn't that kind of like anybody can say it's done because they didn't pay the money to do it? And a lot of these agencies between LEED and NAHB, and I go down the list of all these different agencies regulating companies, they all have different standards to meet, and they're not the same. They're quite wide and distant with each other. You've run up against that, and you've worked on standards. So, how do you see that? And give an example of the ones that you've worked on. How do you get all these other agencies together and make one?
Well, I am an accredited professional with the USGBC, the Green Building Council. So I am an accredited professional that was licensed, certified to allocate points, for these things you speak of.
Right.
And the USGBC committee down in San Diego, we spent 50 of us did Balboa Park. We gave it, platinum here and gold there and, lead there, whatever. And in answer to that is I have a couple things. One is I tried to unite a glossary between all the groups. Just a glossary where everyone agrees what efficiency is. Everyone agrees what, wet soil is, or dry soil, or loam soil, or what is all of that. Right. And I also worked on like the Irrigation Association, and you're talking about these controllers that are approved and not. Where the end of the road is moisture sensing sensors for the irrigation controller. If that controller can say area 1 or area 12 is dry and needs water it, that is the Holy Grail. Yep. All the other stuff that has to do with programming and whatnot, and all the apps on the phone and all this stuff, that's all fine and dandy, but your frustration is valid. But end result is what we will settle on, and that will be soil moisture. And back in 2010, I tried to get IAPMO to get into the plant water, into the soil moisture, and the response to pushback was, well, we're plumbing, we're building folks. We're not soil stuff. We'll leave that to the farmers. I'm like, no, wait. You can't piss and groan about how much water this toilet uses when the elephant in the room is out in the yard using more than triple what the toilet uses on the lawn that isn't planted appropriately or whatever. So it's a big subject, and we're having growing pains.
No, but that's the right thing. It's like when what they call ET controllers came out. Everybody says, "Oh, this is really the hot thing." And my thing 20 years ago was, you need to have full feedback information. ET tells you when to water, but the soil moisture tells you how much you need to do that. They run differently, and you have to have full feedback to make that happen. And I think in the last 4 or 5 years, soil moisture sensors have now grown to be a big business.
Well, if you want to get verbose, or circumlocute, it's called a sensiometer. And I was working with sensiometers in the 70s in Ojai for agriculture irrigation. There's nothing new about this, and we just need to get there, and we will. I think the important thing is appropriate crop, be it ornamental or agriculture, per natural rainfall in that region. That's the smart way to go.
We agree. Well, real quick, it's coming up to a minute and a half left. How can somebody get a hold of you, Greg, to get some information? And I'm going to ask the same thing with Festus. You got an email?
Okay, well, yeah, my email is my name, GregChick, like Greg Chick,
right,
and the 0 symbol, O, 0, at gmail.com.
Okay.
Anybody who sends me an email and requests my book, bingo, I'll return the link.
That's awesome. And it's really a good book to read. Festus, how can people get a hold of you? And then I'll talk to you after the show about some other things that might be of interest to you. But is there a way to reach you?
Yeah, thank you very much. My email is flangat, that is FLANGAT915 at email.com. Thank you.
Great. All right, well, we got to turn it over to a commercial break for NBC because they're way bigger than me. And but stick around. Don't sign off on them. Stay in the line, and I'll talk to you in a minute. So thanks everybody for tuning in. It was awesome having you. And again, Festus, I can't believe you stayed up till 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to talk to us. I appreciate that. And Greg, you're awesome. I like talking with you. Stick around for next week, and remember what we always like to say: if you like green, you have to have blue. Good night, everybody.
NBC News on KCAA.